Chapter 453 Tang Wutong's erasure. Even though this pure energy wasn't very strong compared to hers, it was like a sealing. When this pure life energy entered her body, she immediately controlled it and poured it into the core of her soul power, sealing it. At the same time, she also summoned her soul power to familiarize itself with the traits of this pure life energy. A surprised look appeared on the immortal Dr. Dullo's face. For someone at her tier, it was very difficult to improve any further, especially since she was a healing type transcendent Dullo. It was even more difficult for her than for others. Wang Xina was in fact like New An and Long Xiaoyao. She was a generational talent. She was the only honorary elder that remained of the Star Luo Empire. She had been protecting the empire for years. However, she was growing older and older. She was close to 200 years old now. As she grew older, she felt as if her life energy was quickly fading away. She believed she only had 10 more years to live. However, after Hua Yua poured that pure life energy into her body, she was offered another opportunity to make progress. Her accumulation had long been sufficient. What she lacked was enlightenment and an opportunity. The pure life energy that Hua Yua released presented a valuable opportunity to her. As long as she tried her best to remember the traits of the life energy that he had released and evolve her soul power according to these traits, she could enable her soul power to rise another tier. By raising her cultivation by 1 rank, she would be able to live for decades longer. Elder Mu lived until the age of 200 before he passed away. The main reason was because the injury that he sustained in his younger days was too serious. Long Xiaoyao and Yu Shishui were both still alive and well. If nothing happened, neither of them would have any problems living for more than 300 years. After a momentary surprise, Wang Xina immediately increased her attention on Hua Yua. As a healer, she was very concerned about him. Furthermore, she was a very sympathetic and kind person. She definitely didn't wish him to suffer because of what she had obtained. After meticulously observing him, she was quickly relieved. Hua Yua was in good condition, which was better than expected. Earlier, the reversal of the flow of life energy occurred because the amount of life energy he could store in his body had reached its limit. This limit wasn't reached because of the immortal Dr. Dullo's life energy. Her life energy only acted as a guide that guided his own life energy. After that, his body was completely nourished by that pure life energy. Wang Xina was silently in awe. Every individual indeed had his own break. If all this life energy belonged to her, she believed that she could possibly become an ultimate Dullo in the future. To her, pure life energy could be directly turned into soul power. However, such pure life energy could only serve to increase the life energy in his own body. The immortal Dr. Dullo absorbed the remaining life energy in the air into her body. She couldn't possibly waste it. To her, she had reaped massive rewards today. In just this short period of time, she felt as if the bottleneck that had been frustrating her for so long could possibly be broken through. The door from rank 95 to rank 96 seemed to be slowly opening. The green light started to slowly retract, and the mountaintop started to become peaceful once again. Hua Yua had regained some rosiness in his cheeks by now. Wang Xina was shocked when she discovered that Hua Yua's damaged passageways were filled with life energy. This meant that the pure life energy was entering his passageways and aiding in their recovery. Hua Yua's blood started to circulate once again inside these healed passageways. Even the immortal Dr. Dullo was shocked by a scene like this. It was too magical. Elder, how is it? Shu Sanchi asked softly. The immortal Dr. Dullo replied, all right, he's fine now. However, he needs some time to recuperate. Please take him back first. As she spoke, she mimicked a pressing action toward Hua Yua, and streaks of gentle green light turned into strips before surrounding his body. They lifted him up without moving his body at all. Wang Xina turned to the White Tiger Duke and said, Duke, I'll bring him back first and observe him for a period of time. His condition is a little special. However, overall, he should be fine. All right, I shall count on you then. The White Tiger Duke said respectfully. At this moment, the situation here at the Mingdou mountain range was already set in stone. The Sun Moon Empire hadn't stationed many troops here. When the Death God Pagoda left, it meant that their defense here had already failed. This time, the Sun Moon Empire had left behind many soul tools even though they didn't lose too many soul engineers. To the Star Luo Empire, this was already a success. Those from Shrek Academy didn't stay further either. They followed the immortal Dr. Dullo and proceeded in the direction of the Northwestern Field Army's base. Everything that had happened tonight was indeed very astonishing. However, the rest only witnessed what had happened in the latter half of the night. Only Tang Wutong clearly saw what had happened in the earlier half of the night. Her eyes shone a little as she saw Hua Yua engulfed by the green light. She looked very perplexed, and her thoughts were unknown. Very soon, all of them returned to the base. Wang Xina sent Hua Yua back to his tent and performed another check on him. After that, she instructed everyone not to move him and let him recuperate. He should be able to recover very soon. After relaying her instructions, she reverted to her elderly appearance and left. She was also rushing back to attempt to evolve her own soul power and try to raise it to rank 96. Everyone from Shrek Academy surrounded Hua Yua's bedside. At this moment, they all heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally reclaimed control of the Mingdou mountain range, which completely changed the situation in the entire continent. They had basically completed their mission. As for how the Star Luo Empire would deal with the Sun Moon Empire from now on, that was a problem that the White Tiger Duke had to deal with. To them, the most important thing was knowing when Hua Yua would be able to fully recover. After a brief moment, Shu Sanchi said, all right, everyone must be tired after moving around the entire night. Let's do it this way. We'll take turns to watch over Yua. Girls are more meticulous. Yu, I'll assign you this role first, and you'll watch over him until daybreak. Kyokayu, we'll take over after you. We'll decide the roster after that. Yu, remain here. As for the others, go back and rest. Hua Yua was unconscious, thus Shu Sanchi took over his role as the leader. Everyone nodded. Yu was even a little thankful as she looked at Shu Sanchi. There was a weird look in Tang Wutong's eyes. She looked at Yu before glancing at Hua Yua. After this, she turned around and left the tent. Watching her back, Shu Sanchi revealed a cheeky smile on his face. At times, it might not be a good thing to hasten things. Using some other method might actually yield more effective results. Even though Shu Sanchi wasn't sure whether Tang Wutong was Wang Donga, at least he knew that she looked very alike to Wang Donga. This was something that couldn't be pretended. If Wang Donga had really gotten into a mishap, Tang Wutong might possibly become Hua Yua's new confidant in the future. This was why he was trying to stimulate the relationship between the two of them. Everyone left the tent, and only Yu remained. As she looked at Hua Yua, she couldn't help but sigh to herself. Yua, get better quickly. I know that you've never liked me before, and you'll never ever like me. However, I feel very happy to have an opportunity to be alone with you and take care of you. Don't you think I'm very foolish? After laughing, Yu stood up and walked to one side. She carried a basin to Hua Yua's side and used a clean towel to wipe the bloodstains off his face. She didn't dare to change his clothes, as she was afraid that it would affect his recovery. However, it should be fine for her to gently wipe him down. Amidst her gentle movements, the bloodstains on Hua Yua's face were quickly wiped off. He looked a little sallow, as if it was because he had lost too much blood. However, his life aura was very strong. Yu lifted her hand and wanted to touch his face. However, her palm remained above his face. She never touched him. Nemesis. You are really my nemesis, she sighed before retracting her hand. After this, she quietly sat beside him and looked at him. Outside the tent, a pair of beautiful eyes moved away from the window. Tang Wutong was standing there, and silently heaved a sigh of relief. When she left the tent earlier, she kept on telling herself that nothing would happen between Hua Yua and Yu, given that he was already in such a state. However, she wasn't able to calm herself down after leaving the tent. This was why she silently returned outside the tent and secretly watched from outside. She saw Yu wiping Hua Yua's face. An indescribable feeling surged into her heart. She even wanted to charge in. However, she was soon jolted to her senses. Why am I like this? He has nothing to do with me. Why am I so concerned about him? Someone else is treating him so nice. Why am I not happy for him? These thoughts kept on playing in her mind. When she saw Yu lifting her hand and wanting to touch Hua Yua's face, she forgot everything again and wanted to charge into the tent. It was only when Yu put her hand down that she heaved a sigh of relief. Tang Wutong clenched her fist as she turned around and peered into the night sky. She stuck her tongue out at the sky and asked herself, Tang Wutong, what's wrong with you? Why are you missing that person? Don't tell me that you're jealous. Why? Just because he saved me. No, I can't be like that. He's just an ordinary person. Furthermore, he already has a lover. So what if he's outstanding? He's not particularly handsome either. Sleep, go and sleep. As she talked to herself, she started to walk towards her tent. However, she was walking very slowly. Early morning. The immortal Dr. Dullo was delighted as she came to Hua Yua's tent and checked on his condition once again. Just as she had expected yesterday, she managed to break through the bottleneck that she had been facing for years after absorbing Hua Yua's pure life energy. She rose from rank 95 to rank 96. It wasn't easy. It had taken her close to 60 years. However, she had finally achieved this step. Huo Yuao was undoubtedly responsible for this. This was why she came in the early morning. Even though she didn't need to perform any treatment on him, she still had to try her best to prevent him from suffering any problems during his recuperation process. It was a form of gratitude towards him. Huo Yuao was in a stable condition. His broken passageways were slowly recovering, and he was recovering at a quick rate overall. Apart from the immense life energy in his body, there was another important reason for his speedy recovery. It was that his passageways immediately froze up in place after they were damaged. They didn't shift or change their positions at all. As they remained still, they played a very critical role in his recovery. Yi Ge didn't sleep the entire night. As she saw the immortal Dr. Dulo silently nodding as she checked up on Huo Yuao, she couldn't help but ask, Elder Immortal Doctor, how is Yuao? Will he be fine? Wang Xina glanced at her and was amused as she said, young lady, the more concerned you are, the more disorderly you'll be. In terms of emotions, you have to work harder. There's some kind of pent-up gas in you. I assume it has something to do with him. I can sense that your martial soul comes from the same origin as mine. All right, I shall lend you a hand. As she spoke, the immortal Dr. Duluo lifted her left hand and gently pressed on Yi Ge's chest. Suddenly, Yi Ge sensed a gust of refreshing soul power entering her body. Her entire body seemed to have cleared up. She felt indescribably comfortable after that. If not for the fact that Huo Yuao was sleeping, she would shout into the sky. Medicine can cure diseases, but matters of the heart can't be resolved through medicine. Young lady, I can tell that you really like him. Why? You're so pretty. Isn't he satisfied? Wang Xina retracted her left hand and touched Yi Ge's head. Yi Ge felt much better after the knot in her heart was untied. As she looked at the benevolent look in the immortal Dr. Duluo's eyes, her eyes turned red, and she gently shook her head. She said, he already has someone he likes. I don't blame him. Perhaps I'm only in love with the fact that he's so persistent towards love. The immortal Dr. Duluo sighed and said, young people, it's difficult to tell what love is. I was the same when I was young. It's just that loving someone doesn't mean possessing that person. Furthermore, there are other things to like and admire in this world. There's nothing wrong with liking him. Just don't be too stubborn. Otherwise, you'll only feel depressed your entire life. You must learn to let go, understand? Yes. Thanks for your advice, Elder. Yi Ge gently nodded. However, she couldn't help but turn her gaze towards Huo Yuao. Wang Xina smiled slightly. She knew that she couldn't fully convince Yi Ge in just a few words, especially when it came to matters of the heart. However, she could tell that she wasn't a stubborn person. Otherwise, the pent-up gas in her body would be even worse. He should be fine. However, he'll still need time to recover, since his passageways have been so seriously damaged. If I started healing from the start, I'd need at least half a year to fully heal him. I can't even guarantee that there won't be any side effects. His entire cultivation might even be disabled. However, his life energy is too strong. He must have experienced something special, and is thus able to recover on his own. In my opinion, he should be fine in at most 10 days. I've got to say that this is a miracle. Recover in 10 days? That's fantastic. Yi Ge couldn't help but cheer. At this moment, the curtains to the tent opened, and Nan Qiukai walked in. What's so great? Is Yuao fine? Nan Qiukai quickly walked to Yi Ge's side and looked at Huo Yuao. Seeing that he was still the same as the night before, she revealed a disappointed look on her face. The immortal Dr. Duluo laughed. Yet another one. There are so many guys out there. Why do all of you fall for the same guy? There's no future. Isn't it more painful? However, you aren't that bad. At least you don't have a mental knot because of your crush for him. Nan Qiukai's face turned red, and she said, Elder, don't make fun of me. I don't like this guy. It's Sister Yi who likes him. The immortal Dr. Duluo laughed. I'm old, but I'm not blind. If I can't even tell that you like him, when I have lived the last 200 years in vain, all right, I won't bother with the issues of young people anymore. You can deal with your own problems. Remember, don't touch him. If his passageways move, there'll be trouble. Yes. Nan Qiukai and Yi Ge hurriedly acknowledged her words. The immortal Dr. Duluo left, and both of them looked at each other. Nan Qiukai stuck out her tongue at Yi Ge, who smiled back. After this, both of them turned their attention to Huo Yuao. Nan Qiukai twisted her lips and said, what's so good about this guy? Who likes him? Humph, he's always so mysterious. He's not even 20, but he acts like a 40 or 50-year-old man. Yi Ge was amused as she looked at her. Why do I recall someone mentioning before that she likes guys who are more mature and capable? Nan Qiukai's face turned red, and she said, is that so? Who said that? Who's that person with such low taste? Yi Ge laughed. All right, it's not you. Her smile gradually faded away. As she looked at Huo Yuao, she softly said, Elder Immortal Doctor said that we should let go. He won't belong to us. I can actually sense that he's in pain. What? He's in pain? So many of us like him. Furthermore, he's the future Hallmaster of the Sea Gods Pavilion. He also holds an important position in the Tang sect too. He's even the inane master of the Spirit Pagoda. He's so decorated. What's there to feel pain over? Yi Ge glanced at her and said, now you finally admit that you like him. He's actually in pain. I can sense it. Everything that you've mentioned is his achievements. However, have you ever thought of the amount of pressure he has to bear because of these achievements? It was still fine in the past, but ever since Dongor went into a coma, his emotions were greatly affected. After this mission, I even feel that he seems to be less composed than before. If this were the past, he wouldn't have taken such a huge risk. Last night, I finally understood that maybe he doesn't want to live anymore. This was why he was willing to take such a huge gamble. Only he knows how painful he feels. Nan Qiukai furrowed her brow and asked, isn't that Tang Wutong Wang Dongor who has lost her memories? Didn't everyone claim that? Yi Ge rolled her eyes and said, for goodness sake, can you be more observant? Haven't you realized that Huo Yuao has been very ceremonious towards Tang Wutong? He's so polite that it feels as if they're strangers. She's not even as close to him as we are. What does that mean? Given his character, would he act like that if Tang Wutong was really Wang Dongor? He must have used some method to verify that Tang Wutong isn't actually Wang Dongor. This is why he's acting like this. It's also since then that I felt that his emotions have become a little abnormal. After hearing her words, Nan Qiukai stuck out her tongue and said, it seems so. If that Tang Wutong isn't Wang Dongor, where can Wang Dongor be then? Actually, I feel that we probably don't even stand a chance even if Wang Dongor is dead. This fellow is too stubborn. He only loves Wang Dongor. Wang Qiuo looked so alike to Wang Dongor and sacrificed so much for him, but even that didn't change his heart. Yi Ge said, this is why we should let go. Let's keep this as a beautiful memory. We are from different worlds. I only hope that he can find Dongor soon and start to feel happy once again. Nan Qiukai gave Yi Ge a weird look. Sister Yi, I suddenly feel that you're very noble. Yi Ge chuckled and replied, what's there to be noble about? If I stood even the slightest chance, I'd do my best to fight for it. I wouldn't even bother with my face. However, you've said it. We have no chance at all. In that case, we can only wish him the best. Outside the tent, a person was quietly standing there. She had already come ever since the immortal Dr. Duluo left, but she didn't enter the tent. She only eavesdropped on Nan Qiukai and Yi Ge's conversation. When she heard to this point, she turned around and silently walked off. For some reason, she started to feel slightly lonely deep in her heart. Nan Qiukai took over from Yi Ge to keep watch over Huo Yuao until lunchtime, when the next change was made. Zhang Nanan replaced Nan Qiukai. After that, it was Jing Ziyan. Jing Ziyan's shift lasted until nighttime. Wutong, rest for 2 hours after dinner before replacing Ziyan. Do you have any questions? Shu Sanqi asked Tang Wutong. Tang Wutong was stunned for a moment before she shook her head and replied, I'm fine. Shu Sanqi naturally said, that's great then. I asked Elder Immortal Dr. Duluo earlier, and she said that Yuao's passageways have basically joined up again, but they'll need some time to heal. His shirt is filled with bloodstains, which isn't great for his body. Can you help him his shirt at night? Please be careful. All right. Tang Wutong subconsciously agreed to his request. By the time she realized that it was inconvenient for a lady to help a guy change his shirt, Shu Sanqi had already left. She wanted to stop him, but she didn't do so in the end. Shu Sanqi revealed a grin on his face as he walked away. Yuao, I've already helped you so much. You must do your best and recover quickly. After dinner, Tang Wutong returned to her tent. She had 2 hours to rest. However, she couldn't calm herself down as she sat on her bed. She discovered that she was actually eagerly waiting for the 2 hours to pass. However, the 2 hours passed very slowly. She couldn't calm herself down at all, and even started pacing up and down inside her tent in order to compose herself. Finally, 2 hours passed. She quickly charged out of her tent and proceeded to the opposite tent. Wutong, you're here. Jing Ziyan stood up to receive her as she saw her walking over. Oh yes, Sister Ziyan, it's been tough on you. How is he? Tang Wutong asked softly. Jing Zian smiled and replied, everything's fine. I'll pass him on to you. I'll return to rest now. All right, don't worry. Tang Wutong acknowledged her words and saw Jing Zian out of the tent. After Jing Zian left, she returned to Huo Yuao's side. Her breathing quickened. Am I really going to be with him the entire night? Everyone knows about it too. Nothing will happen. Didn't Kia remain here for the entirety of last night too? I can do the same. Tang Wutong slowly walked to Huo Yuao's bedside and watched him in his deep sleep. His face was still as pale as ever, but it was less sallow than it was the previous night. His breathing had also become more rhythmic. He was still wearing what Shu Sanqi gave him at the last minute then. When she saw how bloodstained his shirt was, she couldn't help but recall Huo Yuao's naked look when he helped her to bear the strike of the light of the death god. She turned slightly red from embarrassment. I shall help him clean up his body first. She filled a basin with clean water before returning to the tent. After that, she used her own basin to collect some hot water and adjusted the temperature of the water to a suitable temperature using the water in the other basin. She didn't use the towel in Huo Yuao's tent. She wasn't willing to admit to herself that Yu Yi had used it to clean up Huo Yua the previous night, and thus she didn't want to use it at all. She used her own towel. After soaking the towel in warm water, she sat by Huo Yuao's bedside and carefully unbuttoned his shirt. She shuddered slightly when she touched Huo Yuao's chest. Helping a guy to unbutton his shirt was indeed very embarrassing. Her face turned red from embarrassment, and her body had evidently warmed up too. Even the temperature in the tent seemed to have risen due to her embarrassment. After pausing for a moment, she decided to pinch his breast and slowly remove the front of his shirt. After this, she gently released her soul power, lifting Huo Yuao's body and removing his shirt. After she was done, she discovered that there was a layer of sweat on her forehead. To a soul sage, this wasn't considered too tedious. However, she actually broke out in a sweat. How nervous must she be? Huo Yuao's body started to release a blood fog, and some of the bloodstains on his body had already dried up. When she removed his shirt earlier, it was evident that many of the bloodstains had already adhered to his body. Tang Wutong used a little warm water to dab at the surface of his shirt, hoping to dissolve some of the dried bloodstains before removing them. She managed to keep Huo Yuao's body levitated in the air using her soul power. After that, she released her radiant dragon god's butterfly and used one side of its wings to lift his body. Following this, she quickly ducked down below him and used a moist towel to wipe off the bloodstains on his back. She started to perspire more and more, releasing a slight fragrance from her body. She was very focused as she did all this. Her face had turned red, but she felt a sense of achievement after cleaning Huo Yuao's body. She was even feeling satisfied. She carefully placed him on the bed. It was time to wipe off the front of his body. She cleaned the towel in the warm water before wiping his face. After wiping his face, she wiped his brows. She felt cramping pains in her heart when she saw his pale face. He's really seriously injured. After wiping his face, she started wiping his neck before proceeding to his chest, arms, armpits, belly and waist. His body was soon very clean after Tang Wutong meticulously cleaned him up. After she was finished, she let out a long breath. She had become much more relaxed. She lifted her wrist and used her sleeves to wipe off her perspiration. After chuckling, she muttered to herself, so I'm actually capable of waiting on others. If Dad knew about this, I wonder what kind of reaction he'd have. However, her grin didn't last very long. This was because her gaze landed on Huo Yuao's pants. I'm done with his top. What about the bottom? Clean. Or not? She was in a difficult spot as she looked at his bloodstained pants. Even though she had taken a peek at his nude body that night, it was still different from the situation now. Everyone was in peril at that point in time, and couldn't care so much. However, they were alone in a tent right now. Even though he was in a coma, an intimate atmosphere was slowly brewing in the tent right now. She was in a daze as she looked at Huo Yuao. Tang Wutong seemed to have been struck with an epiphany. She pulled a blanket across the entire top half of his body and covered it up. She turned around and came to the front of his tent. She looked out, and only returned after verifying that there was no one around. After taking in a few deep breaths, Tang Wutong made a decision. She swiped her right hand over his belt before it broke. She pulled the blanket down slightly, all the way until it covered his crotch. After that, she carefully lifted his body with her soul power, and used warm water to moisten the bloodstains on his pants. Following this, she slowly pulled down his pants. With the blanket, she managed to cover his most vital area. At least nothing embarrassing was on display. It was only after this that she wiped down his exposed legs. Watching the bloodstains disappear, Tang Wutong heaved a huge sigh of relief. Her forehead was covered in perspiration once again. She twisted her lips at Huo Yuao before sticking out her tongue. This fellow is indeed tiring me out. What should I do next? How can I help him clean up that part of his body? After all, she was unmarried. She couldn't bring herself to clean up such a private part of a guy, even though she might be slightly fond of him. After hesitating for a moment, she immediately turned around and ran out. She went to call Shu Sanqi. When Shu Sanqi came over and saw Huo Yuao's exposed legs, he almost burst out laughing. However, he appeared to be very composed on the surface. Senior Shu, I can't help him with that part. I've already pulled his pants down. Please give him a hand. As she spoke, Tang Wutong embarrassedly passed the towel in her hand to Shu Sanqi. After that, she turned around and ran away. Shu Sanqi didn't make fun of her. She was already embarrassed enough. He knew exactly when to and when not to make jokes. He knew what the limits were. After cleaning up Huo Yuao's vital area, he helped him put on a clean set of pants. Looking at Tang Wutong's embarrassed face and the beads of sweat on the tip of her nose, Shu Sanqi concernedly asked, I'm done. Wutong, are you fine? If you aren't, I can help you take care of him for a while. Tang Wutong shook her head gently and said, I'm fine. Senior Shu, let me do it. All right, tell me if you need help. After he finished speaking, Shu Sanqi turned around and left. Tang Wutong sat by his bedside and continued to watch Huo Yuao as he slept. She let out a long breath. What she did earlier was even more tiring than cultivating for an entire day. It wasn't physically draining, but it was mentally tiring. She felt a sense of achievement as she saw how clean Huo Yuao was. This guy is really good. He made me so tired. Humph. When he wakes up, I'm going to deal with him. As she sat by his bedside and watched him sleep, she relaxed her mind and slowly started to fall asleep. Something like this wouldn't happen normally, but she was too tensed up earlier. Right now, she unwittingly felt a strong sense of lethargy when she relaxed. Even Tang Wutong didn't know when she fell onto the bed. When she fell onto the bed, she squirmed, but didn't touch Huo Yuao. She was like a kitten as she fell into a deep sleep. The sky turned darker and darker. Suddenly, Huo Yuao gently moved. His right hand was trembling and came into contact with Tang Wutong's hand. He subconsciously hooked her finger, and his breathing had evidently become faster. His lips were also shaking slightly. Ever since he had descended into a deep sleep that day, Huo Yuao kept experiencing dreams and nightmares. Everything in the past replayed in his mind. His tragic childhood, tough period of cultivation in Shrek Academy, happy times with Wang Donga, and their 4 fusion skills all surfaced in his mind. Wang Donga and Wang Qiu's departure and all sorts of pain also filled his head. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.